Hello, everyone! Now, let's talk about Harry and Meghan. To me, it seems like Meghan's done more harm than good when it comes to helping Harry. If you've seen anything different, feel free to send it my way. Honestly, both of them seem lost and lacking direction. They've tarnished the royal family's image, and people everywhere are tired of their constant complaints. Meghan's lifestyle is extravagant, and her spending is through the roof. On top of that, they're quick to file lawsuits, which we know can be really costly. Now that some of the initial buzz has faded, it's becoming clear that many American celebrities and even royals around the world are keeping their distance. Even Elton John is reportedly upset with them. It feels like this whole act is running out of steam and their future doesn't look too bright. As for Meghan, once Harry is no longer useful to her ambitions, she might do to him what she's done to other men in her life. The thing is, as a typical narcissist, she doesn't seem to realize that the only reason people pay attention to her is because of her marriage to Harry. If they split, Harry will likely head back to the UK, probably after paying Meghan a large sum of money for custody of their kids and ensuring she stays away. The spotlight will follow Harry. What's he up to? Who's he with? Meanwhile, Meghan will try to hold on to relevance, spend loads of money, and maybe even pursue a relationship with an older, wealthy man, but eventually she'll fade into the background where she belongs. Harry did receive a sizable inheritance from his mother, and in a few years he'll get his inheritance from his great-grandmother. But that doesn't help him much right now. Meghan have some money from her time on Suits, and they received advances from Spotify and Netflix. However, after paying millions to the Crown for the Frogmore renovations, putting down millions on their mansion, covering legal costs, PR fees, mortgage and maintenance, staff salaries, security, and production expenses including what was wasted on Pearl, it's likely their finances have taken a serious hit. On top of that, their popularity is fading, and with it, their marketability. PR teams have been trying to spin their Jubilee appearance as them solidifying their royal connection, but I think most people saw that the royal family has distanced itself from the couple, which is a huge blow to their earning potential. All things considered, it seems clear that Harry and Meghan are desperate. Honestly, I can't imagine what Netflix and Spotify were thinking when they signed these two amateurs to multi-million-dollar contracts. What exactly did Harry and Meghan do to make Netflix believe they had the talent or ability to produce high-quality content? Aside from Meghan's role on a cable TV show, they don't have much experience in entertainment or any other field. Honestly, I hope Netflix cancels the rest of their contracts so they don't get any more payments, but I can't feel sorry for the platform. They should have known better. Americans are getting tired of Harry, someone who left his home country and family, yet feels entitled to tell the US how to run things. From how many kids to have to what the Supreme Court should decide, it's rubbing people the wrong way. Meghan McCain even pointed this out, saying Harry might need a reminder that he's here as a guest, not someone fully embraced by the American public. As she put it, this is not your home country. I can't help but shake my head at the incredible opportunities and advantages Harry seems to have thrown away. It's sad to think he's given it all up for someone who looks out only for herself, someone who is selfish, manipulative, and even unkind to her own father. Meghan is far more shrewd and worldly than Harry, and it feels like he's completely unaware of it. Together, Harry and Meghan could have done so many amazing things, launching new charities, organizations, and making a real impact. Harry had the freedom to do even more than William, who will eventually take the crown and face more restrictions. But I worry that once Meghan has gotten everything she wants from him, she'll leave him behind without a second thought. It's just a matter of time. Harry has to be one of the biggest disappointments in modern royalty. He was given so much, but all he's given back is disrespect and scorn toward his own family. I truly hope he has a moment of clarity one day. It's ironic so many little girls dream of being princesses and marrying a prince. Meghan marries a prince, and then convinces him to leave it all behind. Do you think now that Harry has settled into life as a commoner far from his family and home, he has regrets? He used to be so popular, but now he's lost his royal perks and seems pretty unpopular in both the UK and the US. His kids are growing up American, and I can only imagine how upset they'll be when they're old enough to realize their grandfather is the King of England. On top of all that, Harry's attempts to relaunch himself in Hollywood have flopped, leaving the privileged Duke sinking into irrelevance. It's a sad downfall for someone who once had the world at his feet. Prince Harry's transition from British royalty to a Hollywood figure has hit some unexpected bumps, suggesting that his influence in Tinseltown may be fading. After leaving the royal life behind for California's sunshine in 2020, Harry is now encountering increasing difficulties as he tries to create a new identity in the entertainment world. One of the biggest challenges came recently when he was chosen for the Pat Tillman Award for service at the ESPYs, meant to honor his work with the Invictus Games. However, the decision stirred up controversy. A petition opposing his selection gathered tens of thousands of signatures, and even Pat Tillman's mother expressed her disappointment, saying others were more deserving. This backlash is part of a growing pattern. Harry's attempts to use his royal connections to gain traction in Hollywood are being met with resistance. Some critics believe that his public criticisms of the royal family have left a negative impression that's hard to shake. Experts watching his Hollywood journey point out that Harry is facing strong opposition as he tries to rebrand himself. While Harry's commitment to causes like the Invictus Games is admirable, his personal history and recent controversies seem to be casting a shadow over his achievements. More and more, the public is looking past his carefully crafted image, focusing on the full picture of who Harry is as a public figure. His efforts to step away from royal life while still benefiting from his royal ties have created a paradox that may be working against him. This contradiction, along with some perceived missteps, has led experts to suggest that Harry's public influence might be fading. As he continues to navigate his post-royal life, it's becoming evident that rebranding himself in Hollywood is tougher than expected. If Harry hopes to regain his footing and establish himself successfully in this new chapter, he may need to rethink his strategy and public image. What's more upsetting to some is that, despite facing much speculation about his own legitimacy in the past, Harry has now sparked questions about the parentage, or even the existence of his own children. This has added another layer of complexity to his public perception. Most parents with Harry's background would likely want to shield their children from the same hardships they endured. Much of the controversy could have been avoided if the births of his children had followed royal protocol, with doctors signing as witnesses. While I, like many British people, don't need to see photos of their kids, I do believe it's important to know if the children of two people who have been caught lying are real and whether they are eligible to be in the line of succession. Harry and Meghan have repeatedly shown they are not always truthful, leading to public distrust. Harry has claimed he wants to be a better father to give his children experiences he missed out on. But there are still many questions surrounding their children's births. If they've chosen to step down from royal duties, that's perfectly fine. However, they shouldn't continue to benefit from their royal connections while spreading so much negativity about the royal family. Then they turn around and profit from it all. They seem to thrive on attention, whether it's good or bad. But who will suffer the most in this mess? The children, if they exist, though that still hasn't been fully proven. It might sound a bit blunt, but that's the reality. Now, back to the main point. It seems Meghan never really intended to support Harry. Instead, she expected him to support her in every way. That's why they left the UK. She was unhappy about not getting the royal jewels she wanted for her wedding and believed she should live in a palace, not Frogmore Cottage. It's no surprise that house was eventually taken from them. Her treatment of the late Queen and Prince Philip was appalling, and it's a shame Harry allowed it to happen. It's also sad to see Harry not receiving the support he needs from his wife, especially after returning to the US. Meghan has essentially cut him and their children off from their extended family, which could have provided much-needed support. From the start, it seems her plan was to follow Harry wherever he went. She even brought her mother along, a woman she hadn't spoken to in 10 years. According to her own words, she gave an interview to a US magazine where she declared her love for Harry, even though he told her not to, as his family wasn't aware yet. When Harry tried to distance himself, she suddenly came up with the idea that she was pregnant, a claim that ended with a miscarriage. It's hard to ignore how manipulative and deceitful that appears. The Prince of Wales recognized her true nature early on and warned Harry, but by then Harry was too captivated by her charms and the game she played. Ignoring warnings from his entire family, even the Spencers, Harry made a big mistake. Meghan also played the race card when it suited her, adding another layer of manipulation to the situation. Meghan spent most of her life identifying as white, even going through numerous cosmetic surgeries and procedures to fit that image. When the royal family had serious concerns about her joining them, it's no surprise many were baffled at how she managed to integrate herself so quickly. It seems like she had a plan all along, even before meeting Harry. He must have been more naive than anyone realized for this to work. Her ultimate goal was clearly fame, but the plan has completely backfired, leaving her as the subject of ridicule. Harry, known for being a bit wild in his youth, seems to have been completely brainwashed by her. Together, they seem to be lacking in common sense. Meghan never loved him, she was only interested in what he could offer her and the doors he could open. As soon as she finds someone else foolish enough to believe her lies, she'll likely leave him behind. Even the way Meghan clings to Harry doesn't seem loving or normal, which just adds to the sense that something is off in their relationship. Meghan's behavior comes across as possessive and controlling, and it's painful to witness. They act more like teenagers, immature and emotionally unstable. By the time Princess Diana was Meghan's age, she had older children and always carried herself with such grace that the whole world adored her. In contrast, many people seem to despise Meghan. It's hard not to wonder what Diana would think of her. Most believe she would find Meghan's actions disgraceful. Meghan often clutches Harry's arm or places her hand on his back, as if he wouldn't know where to go without her guidance. It feels staged, just like the way she constantly held her baby bump for the cameras. Meghan wants the public to see a happy, loving couple, but Harry's facial expressions tell a different story. He often looks sad, depressed, or even angry. Meghan has successfully isolated Harry from everything he knows and loves, and it's heartbreaking to see him pulled so far from his roots and family. If Meghan truly cared about Harry, she would understand how difficult all these changes are for him. Instead, she keeps pushing her own agenda, always putting herself first. She has never prioritized Harry's needs, everything revolves around her. She's one of the most egotistical, self-centered people I've ever come across. Before Meghan, Harry was making great strides. I've read everything about his work with the Invictus Games and the Heads Together initiative. These were his achievements. He was finally emerging from a deep depression, largely thanks to the love and support of his brother, Prince William, and Duchess Catherine. He was the fun Uncle Harry to their children, always laughing and full of life. But that happy, carefree prince seems to have disappeared. The way Meghan holds onto Harry doesn't seem like normal, loving hand-holding. It looks forceful and controlling, especially when she grips his arm with both hands, barely giving him any freedom. It's clear she's taking away his space, and the change in Harry's demeanor is heartbreaking to see. Meghan literally seems to cling to Harry. She holds on so tightly that if she lifted her feet off the ground, Harry could probably drag her along. It's like she's attached to him, clutching him like a limpet. He almost has to pry her off. What does this say about their relationship? In my opinion, Meghan must feel threatened by something or someone, though I'm not sure who, for her to constantly cling, grasp, and hold on to Harry like that. Their relationship doesn't appear to be one of love, care, or mutual respect. It feels more like a dynamic of domination, control, and possessiveness. Even by royal protocol, she should walk behind him as he's a prince and she's his spouse. The way she holds on to him reminds me of someone keeping a dog on a leash, ready to pull them back at any moment. Harry often looks and acts like a dog with a broken spirit being jerked around by a controlling master. It's sad to see him in this state. Meghan clearly shows signs of being a narcissist, and I believe she's a textbook case of coercive control. In these situations, the victim eventually feels like they can't function without the perpetrator, while the outside world views the perpetrator as charming or wonderful. The victim is often conditioned to agree with this image. There's no doubt that Meghan is the one in control. You can see the panic in Harry if he doesn't hold her hand fast enough. She guides him around as if he were a child. She even does that arm motion like a game show host showcasing a prize whenever Harry is allowed to greet someone. It's honestly embarrassing to watch. Meghan often tells people that Harry is a feminist, but shouldn't that be something he says himself? It seems she's taking away his voice. Personally, I prefer seeing traditional roles for men and women in public. Meghan talks endlessly about gender equality, but then she turns around and humiliates Harry in front of everyone. She clearly doesn't respect him, yet I'm certain she demands respect from him. The imbalance in there. It's hard to believe Meghan was truly in such torment. She could have simply ignored the negativity and focused on the role she agreed to take on alongside Harry. She must have been warned about what that role would entail, but instead she used the media as a convenient excuse to bow out. Meghan convinced Harry that his family was a danger, framing it as not just about surviving, but about thriving. It's clear she twists words to serve her manipulative agenda. Harry has been a willing participant in all of this, especially since he hasn't fully moved on from what happened to his mother. From the moment Meghan came into his life, things started to unravel. The most noticeable change is his relationship with Prince William, which has soured significantly. When someone like Meghan, who seems to exhibit traits of narcissistic personality disorder, enters a relationship, they often work to isolate their partner from friends and family. Their primary goal is to dominate and make the victim reliant solely on them, cutting off any perceived support. This behavior can leave the victim feeling completely dependent and vulnerable. Harry's close friends were pushed aside and criticized, while his brother and sister-in-law were painted as enemies of his marriage. His father was portrayed as unloving and indifferent toward his second son. Meghan's jealousy of any woman in Harry's life was evident for all to see. She appeared frightened, insecure, and psychologically needy. Harry was easily manipulated into acting like an angry, demanding teenager, believing he was just as important as his brother and deserving of the same respect and financial support. This inflated sense of self-worth fueled his anger when his and Meghan's extravagant demands weren't met. Their requests have consistently been rejected, leaving them out of favor with the British royal family. Despite their high hopes and great expectations, they have achieved very little due to a lack of genuine effort and commitment. As a result, their credibility is at an all-time low. They claim to be short on money, yet they live like billionaires, indulging in luxury travel, expensive hotels, designer wardrobes for Meghan, gas-guzzling vehicles, and round-the-clock security to protect their peculiar sense of privacy. It's reminiscent of a South Park cartoon where characters follow the money, hinting at connections to Russian interests or blackmail. No one seems to care anymore about the incredible money-making opportunities they might pursue. Sussex Puerto Rico claims they are on the verge of impressing everyone with new projects, but they've made a spectacle of themselves on the Hollywood stage and will soon fade from view. To paraphrase Shakespeare, their dreams will not end with a bang, but with a whimper. So, do I think Harry and Meghan's relationship will last? Unfortunately, I don't. When one person sacrifices everything, including their family, to make the other happy, it creates significant strain. People who demand a lot often continue to ask for even more, which can lead to a breaking point. It's clear that Harry isn't happy. They need to find a reliable source of income that supports their desired lifestyle while also covering their basic needs. Without that stability, they will constantly feel insecure and be in a state of hustle. They are trying to navigate a new social landscape that is both straightforward and complicated, filled with risks. They must quickly prove that they can produce great work instead of just talking about it, and they know the world is watching closely for the results of their efforts. They need to show the British public and the royal family that they are the stars they believe themselves to be. Additionally, it's crucial for them to raise their child to be a healthy, moral person. Amidst all this pressure, there are concerning signs that they haven't maintained strong connections with family or friends, including childhood acquaintances. It's been years since they've had solid relationships, which adds to their isolation and challenges. It's strange for someone to have no ties to friends from childhood or early adulthood, as those are often the strongest connections we make. It seems Harry's personality has changed dramatically. This is something we often warn our friends about. Don't lose yourself in a relationship to the point where you forget who you are. That's how things appear for Harry now. I don't have time to go into detail, but any marriage facing these issues doesn't seem healthy. However, it's not uncommon for couples to stay in toxic relationships for a long time, so it's hard to predict how things will unfold. Hopefully there won't be any major disasters and they'll just continue to navigate their lives, feeling uneasy but not experiencing anything truly terrible. Witnesses have noted that Harry seems to cower and flinch whenever Meghan has one of her outbursts. He often refuses to fight back, which can lead to him getting hurt in some way. I've heard that her mother can be just as unpleasant with him, and they seem to know exactly how to inflict minor injuries so he can't use them against them if he ever tries to speak out about the true nature of their behavior. The abuse he faces is mostly emotional and verbal. The thing is, he entered the relationship fully aware of what he was getting into, ready to accept all the lies. Meghan convinced him that his family had trapped him and treated her with racism. Harry didn't appreciate all his family had done for him throughout his life and refused to see that they were trying to protect him from a marriage that everyone else could see was a mistake. He doesn't want to face the truth that his family was right about Meghan, that she's manipulative, abusive, and constantly scheming, even though her plans keep failing. Now, he's stuck going along with it all, enduring her anger because admitting he made the wrong choice is something he refuses to do. He's made his choice, and now he has to live with it. There are people in the world who are born just hoping to have enough food to eat. Meanwhile, he had everything handed to him. He never had to worry about working or dealing with the things most people spend their entire lives struggling with, jobs they don't even like. Yet, despite all his privilege, he's petty, bitter, and mean. Whether he was the son of a king, a mob boss, or even a humble shoemaker, he'd still be the same someone who acts out for attention, like dressing up in an offensive costume or doing ridiculous things even when he knows people are watching. All he had to do was go along with the role he was given. He could have kept getting all the perks, and at worst lived a life of luxury, with only the occasional need to attend some ceremonial event or visit a factory opening. He went right back to the free lifestyle. And yes, we do judge people by the company they keep, especially the partner they choose. The woman he allowed to seduce him carries a negative, toxic energy from the inside out. It's hard to understand how the Queen could have ever allowed that marriage to happen. It's the biggest stain on her character I can think of. How does she not see it coming? This woman, who had such public hatred for everyone she was once close to, especially her own father, was bound to manipulate Harry and turn him against his loved ones, especially his own father. And even worse, she drove a wedge between Harry and his brother. Harry caused so much pain, making Philip's last days miserable while he lay dying. It's cruel and heartless, and it shows just how nasty and selfish he truly is. He made both the Queen and the current king miserable, creating tension within the family and between them and the public, all because of the false accusations of racism. None of this would have happened if that hateful, manipulative person hadn't been given access to their private lives. She spread lies to Oprah, who sat there playing along, probably earning millions just for letting her attack and slander the royal family. They used the sensitive issues around Black Lives Matter and the tragic case of George Floyd for their own gain. That's the kind of vile person they let into their family, all because they didn't put their foot down with Harry and stop him from marrying someone completely opposite to what they stood for. If I were the Queen, the first, no, it's hard to imagine the pressures and the delicate balance she had to maintain, but maybe things could have been different. I would have told Harry that I could tolerate him having a fling with that woman, but if she ever got pregnant, that would be the end for him. No more free perks. That's all Harry really cares about, the free stuff. Maybe then he would have listened. It's easy to feel sorry for him. Sure, he probably has something seriously wrong with him mentally. But more important than feeling pity for him is recognizing the damage he's caused and will continue to cause. Otherwise, we'd feel sorry for rats just for being rats, and we'd give up our homes to let them live comfortably instead. Also, I've always believed Thomas, her father, was set up. The royal family even tried to send advisors to protect him from the media and offered to bring him to the UK before the wedding. Meghan rejected the royal family's offer to help her father, insisting she would handle it herself. As a result, no plane ticket was arranged for him, and he wasn't fitted with a proper mourning suit for the wedding. For such a significant event, a custom-made suit would have been expected, especially with Thomas being in the spotlight. Instead, he was left alone, vulnerable, and hadn't even met Harry, despite a year of courtship. Meanwhile, Harry had already spent time with Meghan's mother, Doria. Then, a man shows up, seemingly out of nowhere, and offers Thomas money for a few innocent photos, which turned out to be a scam. Thomas was quickly shunned, with no forgiveness for a father who had just suffered a heart attack. Instead of Doria stepping in, Thomas was replaced by the future King of England. 5 years later, because of this single mistake, he has lost not only his beloved daughter, but also his grandchildren. It seems like Harry and Meghan would have called the royal family racist no matter what, even if they hadn't allowed the marriage, but they did that anyway, so what was the point? It's hard to feel sorry for someone who made choices that led him to where he is now. In fact, I find Harry more disappointing than his wife. He left because he realized he would never be the top dog, driven by jealousy and spite. If he had stayed in the working monarchy, he wouldn't have been able to live like a carefree playboy. His role would have required actual service to the community, and for that he received a generous allowance from his father. But as always, he wanted the easy path, avoiding responsibility. Even Invictus, which was supposed to be a joint effort with his brother, was a reflection of this. It's been rumored that Harry was already jealous of his brother's various other charities and demanded he have Invictus Games to himself. William stood back, but not before donating half of the award from a court case to the charity. His total input at that time was to attend the annual general meeting and the games themselves. You will recall his very low-key appearances at that time, appearing humble and supportive to the contestants who took center stage. The Invictus Games have now taken on a whole new platform for the attention-seeking duo. They use the event as a way to visit various countries and get treated like real royals, their own little monarchy. The Harry and Meghan show preaching and showing off, creating their own faux global domain, their rendition of service. We now know this whole Nigerian visit is being funded by People magazine. Their film crew is in attendance, the Invictus Charity, and Netflix. The whole visit feels like a stage production. Instead of going to areas that are truly struggling, they visit spotless schools filled with children from the wealthier side of society. They go to hospitals where patients are quickly dressed in scrubs with no real signs of illness anywhere. Harry wanders around with his film crew, capturing every moment. Then there's Meghan, over-bronzing her face to look like she's trying to claim Nigerian heritage, even though she had just worn a backless gown showing her pale skin. She later covers herself up in an all-white pantsuit, except for her bronzed face, as she prances around a military base, hugging people. But we've learned nothing about the real Nigeria, just this polished version they want to show. Looking at their itinerary, it doesn't seem like the rest of the visit will be any different. What real benefit have Nigerians gained from this trip? Nothing. It seems just more of the same superficial show. Absolutely nothing has come from it, and no need to apologize for the long scroll. On another note, blaming the royal family for Harry's impulsive behavior is completely wrong. In fact, they've shown incredible patience with him. What have they done to him? He chose to step away from his royal duties, and they accepted it. He chose to move to California. Again, they didn't stop him. Since he's no longer a working royal, he no longer receives money from the sovereign grant, which means the UK taxpayers don't have to cover his security or expenses. That's fair, he's an adult with a hefty trust fund from his mother and grandmother. When his father stopped paying for his lifestyle, that wasn't a punishment, it was simply part of becoming an adult. His royal patronages were taken away because those are reserved for working members of the royal family, and Harry chose not to continue in that role. Sure, he may have been unhappy as a working royal, but he solved that by stepping away, and the family respected his decision. Now he has the freedom to build a new life for himself, and he certainly has the resources and connections to do it. He can visit his family anytime, and from what we know, they stay in touch through phone calls and Zoom like many people did during the lockdown. So what's the problem? He's free to live his life as he wishes. Yes, they are clearly using the younger family members as pawns. When Prince Charles became king after the Queen's passing, he decided to end Harry and Meghan Markle's lease on Frogmore Cottage. It was reported that Harry once said he didn't want to see his nephew either. This is truly a shameful and disrespectful act, showing more concern for the royal family's reputation than for his own family. The trips they organized to Africa, labeled as part of an unofficial United Association tour, were not only costly but also lacked genuine purpose. These excursions were said to provide no real benefits to their business ventures, just an expensive and pointless spectacle. Meghan consistently made missteps that sparked public outrage, yet she never apologized and even pushed back against public opinion when she and Harry tried to return to the royal family. I don't think Harry and Meghan will be able to return to Nigeria. I've heard rumors that Nigeria wants to see Meghan's DNA test proving she is 43% Nigerian so they can feature it on their website, but so far it seems to be lost in the mail or somewhere in cyberspace. That's understandable, especially considering how Meghan made many Nigerians and people worldwide uncomfortable during her visit. She comes off as arrogant and disrespectful, always seeking the spotlight for herself. It's really off-putting. Now, Harry is looking to buy a new house in England to meet up with friends, but is that really necessary? Does Meghan need to give him a private space in Montecito to meet with his friends? And will his friends even welcome him back after everything? 4 years ago, Harry left feeling shocked and upset, having betrayed so much. Now he wants to be welcomed back into their lives. King Charles's apparent distance from his grandchildren Archie and Lilibet highlights the divisions within the royal family. Many articles about this issue keep getting republished without any new insights, making it seem like they're just recycling old information to grab headlines without offering real value. Harry often brings up their 2 children in conversations with Charles, likely hoping to appeal to his emotions and facilitate a smooth return for himself and Meghan. So far, King Charles hasn't taken any steps to prevent the couple from using their royal titles or to publicly deny their actions while they travel the world pretending to be working royals. It seems he still views Harry as family, and many people share that sentiment. Unfortunately, Harry and Meghan, along with the tabloids, might see this as a weakness. In some ways, Charles appears to be the weak link in the family, as he seems most willing to give in to their demands. Harry will always be William's younger brother, so he wouldn't completely abandon him, but the love and closeness they once shared before Meghan are gone. William might consider making Harry a private citizen, giving him a secluded cottage, and providing him with what he needs to get by. However, if Harry pulls a stunt like this again, William might decide to cut ties for good. It seems that Harry struggles with jealousy toward William and the royal family. I believe he has betrayed them once more, while Meghan remains so delusional that she still dreams of becoming queen, which is simply unimaginable. It's essential for her to be publicly and officially informed that she will not be queen. That's just not how it works. She has been told to stop publicly attacking the Welsh, especially Princess Catherine. It's concerning to see how her PR team seems to think they can threaten the monarchy. That kind of behavior is malicious and could have legal consequences, just like the long list of negative actions attributed to them. All of this needs to come to an end. Harry requires serious counseling and help to sort through his confused emotions. His responses have mostly included demands and emotional outbursts, which only turn people against him, including his father. The public would likely never accept Harry back into the fold. He might reconnect with his family, but it will never be as a working royal. I don't believe Charles will allow Harry to return as a full member of the royal family. If Harry does come back to the UK, it will probably be to a private home far removed from the royal family, keeping things completely separate. Charles has dealt with a lot of pressure and internal controversy since Harry and Meghan stepped away, and with tensions escalating, accepting Harry back will be a challenging and complex decision. Additionally, ongoing rivalries within the royal family and debates about their public image will make it difficult for Harry to fully reintegrate in the future. It's truly upsetting that some people would intentionally place emotional demands on someone dealing with a debilitating illness. Just imagine being on this roller coaster of life filled with overwhelming emotions, all influenced by your own son. This presents a significant challenge for Charles, not only on a family level, but also regarding politics and public relations. But reintegrating Harry into the royal family would come with numerous trade-offs, and emotional conflicts and responsibilities would inevitably arise. Harry and Meghan would not be welcomed back as working royals or allowed to attend royal events. During Harry's last visit, he was even told he couldn't stay at the Windsor estate. William would never allow them to get close to him or his family. There are many photos of Meghan staring at Catherine, and the look she gave William during the coronation was quite unsettling. She was also seen early one morning in Charlotte's room, watching her, which raises concerns about her intentions.